This is Football Primetime. I'm your host, Bill Dean. I'm, of course, here with my two co-hosts, AJ Dean. And back from watching Pittsburgh actually win is Brett Fitzpatrick, which we were shocked about. He can tell us about his experience in a moment. We were brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of Sam Wu. I am behind the glass once again. He is remote, driving back from Delaware right now, and he's podcasting, setting up the show tonight. Obviously, it's a Wednesday. It's different than our Thursday podcast. We have AJ, once again, decides to go on a plane and leave. So we're accommodating his schedule because we're the nice guys. But you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Leave us a 5-star review, thumbs up, whatever you want. We appreciate the love and support. Gentlemen, how are we doing today? Brett, how was your trip?
We're doing good. Trip was great. Got to experience SoFi and, my first $1 billion stadium, and it looks like one. It's unreal. Kind of feels like you're at Disneyland walking through everything. There's like an outdoor concourse area. The stadium itself is incredible. 360 Jumbotron that goes all the way around the arena. Tinted. They can control the tint on the roof, so because it's not a fully enclosed stadium, but with that, they can make it so if it gets too sunny outside, they can tint it. And on top of that, since it's not enclosed, there's no AC, but they got around that by figuring out how to change the pressure inside the stadium by adjusting the width with the walls to create artificial draft to run through there occasionally when it gets too hot. So just an unreal stadium. It was great. Great game. It was good. Kind of got lucky. I mean, I think my dad pulled up the fourth quarter stats between Stafford and Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett didn't have like a single incompletion and threw for like 148 yards in the fourth quarter, where Stafford was like 0 for 9. And I would never bet in the world that would happen again.
Yeah, that's an aberration, I think.
Yeah. I say the defense played well for the Steelers, I thought.
That's the thing, right? So the Steelers and the Jets, I was thinking about, they're very similar in styles right now because you have, and I like Pittsburgh's quarterback much better than I like my own, but they have, some offensive talent. Running backs, I think obviously the Jets, I'd favor them over Najee, but, wide receivers, Pickens is a one-man wrecking crew when he wants to be. Deontay Johnson's just a fabulous route runner and gets open and all this stuff. But offensive lines, a little mix and match here, but the defenses are electric. You have, one of the best defensive players in all of football in TJ Watt. But then you look on the other side, the Jets, they have, 2 game wreckers in Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner. Hopefully he plays this week. But I do see a lot of similarities, and it's fun to root for teams like that. You just wish your quarterback would play a lot better. And that's always the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, right now, still all eyes are on Matt Canada. I mean, when the internet is able to predict your play calling, that's not where you want to be. So, I mean, yes, still offensively need to make some strides, but we'll see how long if Canada can make it through the year.
I don't think so. I really don't think he lasts that long. It's the same thing with Staley in with the Chargers. If that guy's not gone by week, I'd say 11, 12, they're. Ugh.
I think he's got a little bit more leeway. Canada, right, being 4-2, right? Your team's at least potential playoff spots right now, right? If the trend continues. Whereas Staley, man, being the head coach and your prowess as being the defensive guy, and your defense has been terrible. How does he survive, right?
Yeah, but on the other hand, you look at the Steelers and Matt Canada. They're 4-2 with no help from the offense. So it's saying, okay, they're 4-2. What could we be maybe with a better offense out there? I mean, Ravens win was all luck and defense that got us there. This win was a lot of luck and a lot of defense. Their first score for the Steelers, they couldn't generate any first downs. So what did the defense do? Oh, they turned the ball over and give us the ball on the 7-yard line, where you don't need to get a first down because you only need to get 7 yards.
Yeah, I don't know. It just I'm not sold on the quarterbacks in either of these two situations, and it's just something that it's going to be the downfall, obviously, no matter what. All right, so we talked about a Purdy concussion protocol, uncertain versus Cincy, which is We'll see Sam Darnold. We'll see what he can do in this offense, which would be pretty interesting. And Tyreek Hill missing practice with a hip injury, so who knows what's going to go on with him. You had a couple other just guys, who knows what's going to happen with Watson or Fields this week. I think both of them still are projected to be, looks like. And that whole Watson
looks like he's going to be out.
Weird.
He's
that whole thing
starting
was
to see
weird,
a
right?
specialist and get treatment.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to be out at least a couple more weeks.
Yeah, he stinks anyway.
You see Brady Quinn and all the stuff that he said, and then you had Watson's I don't know if it was his personal QB coach or something like that, chiming in too, and them getting in on it in Twitter.
What did Brady Quinn say?
Just something basically how, basically Watson's kind of being a little bit of a diva.
He is.
He's got the guaranteed money, obviously, and just can do whatever he wants. He doesn't necessarily have to play football. And the QB coach was, bashing Brady Quinn, and Quinn was like, "Well, I guess we can massage this out later," and just putting in the puns and stuff like that.
I like it.
It was good.
Yeah, Quinn. Everyone with a medical opinion has cleared Deshaun Watson. The situation is almost similar to a kid getting a $230 million trust fund. You ask them to get a job, and they have no incentive to do it. And then Avery, Brady, I'm going to be real. You don't know what you're talking about. There's some curse words I'm not going to say. And sit behind a microphone gossiping like a high school. And he says, "Little girl." And then Quinn back and forth. How about we massage this conversation and get it to a happy ending? Does that sound satisfactory? Very good. Talk about come talk anytime you want in person, open invitation. Just seen you Saturday. I don't have anything I want to talk to you about. Yeah, both of them go back. It's childish, but it's funny. The guy, he's been one of the worst quarterbacks since he became a Cleveland Brown, and he obviously hadn't played up till that for 2 years, almost 3 years. I said it was a joke when they gave it to him, and they're paying for a joke. So, it is what it is.
You could also parlay the amount of money that they're giving him into reasons why other positions don't get paid that much. It's just in general, it's never a good idea to invest all your money in one player. Regardless of how good he is, there's a reason why the Patriots stayed so good for so long with Brady, because he never took the largest contract in the NFL. It's almost a death sentence when you do it to your team, especially this is all guaranteed money. As a Steelers fan, I love it. We won't be the worst team in the division for as long as this contract exists.
Yep. What sucks even more is that the Browns are a better football team than the Steelers. I really think they are. They have a better defense. Oh, yeah. Myles Garrett is as good as TJ Watt. He is electric. He's the only football player in history to have, 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and then a block kick in the same game.
Yeah.
That block kick was awesome. He jumped over the lineman, didn't touch anybody, and everyone's like, "Why don't you just do that regularly? Because clearly you could do it. Just do it more."
That's insane.
But up until Chubb got hurt, they had a better running game, and even Jerome Ford, I might take over Najee Harris. It's close. That backfield versus the Steelers. Wide receivers, Amari Cooper is good. It's not great, the wide receivers, but their offensive line is nasty. The Cleveland Browns have a great offensive line. They are a better football team, but the whole Watson drama just overshadows what the Browns are doing as a football team, and it sucks. It really does. I can feel bad for Cleveland fans because this guy's a joke, and he's making their team bad.
They should have kept Mayfield.
Yeah. Well, heck, not even Mayfield. You could have kept what's his name? Who was the guy last year who brought him 500? That's now the backup for Washington. Shoot, he's just perennially decent. Oh man, I'm blanking on. Oh man, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. He's backing up Washington.
Yeah, I'm looking
at
right
this is bad radio.
Yeah, Brissett was doing pretty good.
Yeah, Jacoby. He was good with them.
Brissett had them off to a 500 record for most of the year.
Yeah.
So it's not great, but that's kind of what you want from your backup at least.
Yeah.
Better than the garbage they're getting with Deshaun Watson. So, but let's get to last week's schedule, and we'll talk a little bit more about this week coming up. So last week, week 7 in the books. We keep saying every week, another week drops, and you're always mesmerized this happens. That Thursday night matchup, obviously we're podcasting and doing this, but Jacksonville at New Orleans. Jacksonville wins 31-24. New Orleans look terrible. Finally, Derek Carr finds his groove in the second half. Alvin Kamara, again, was it 10 or 11 catches, 91 yards? This guy has, he's, I think, 10 receptions off of, as a running back, he's 10 receptions off of Tyreek Hill's reception total for this year, which is bonkers.
It makes you look at it and look at Josh Jacobs' numbers from last season, and you realize that the king of checkdowns is Derek Carr. That's what the man loves to do. He loves to check the ball down. And the scary thing for the Saints, at least, is like, yes, it looks good on paper. So I'm sure everyone who's a fantasy manager with Alvin Kamara right now is thrilled. But unfortunately, checkdowns like this, it's not exactly good for your offense. When you're doing it 10 times a game, what you're doing is you're just inviting the defense to start creeping up more and more. And they're not hitting the deep shots as much. Chris Olave, I don't think, has a touchdown. He might have one touchdown catch on the season. So, I mean, the vertical passing game is not there for them. They continue to check it down, and you're going to keep seeing totals like this. Kamara's going to eat and keep getting 10 receptions, but they're not going to be putting up points when he's getting 10 receptions a game.
Do we think we will see Jameis Winston at all this season?
I hope so. I think I've said this before. I said it 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago, that they have a better quarterback in the room that they should be playing. Derek Carr is which is crazy because Derek Carr was always known for the deep ball, but he's not throwing it at all. And you have one of the best deep ball weapons in Chris Olave, and they're just not getting the football. It's bonkers.
And Michael Thomas, who you don't even have to throw a good ball to, just has to be near him, and he's taller than everyone else.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara, 4 games, 35 receptions. He has 177 total receiving yards. So that's 5.1 yards per catch. Very funny. It is amazing. Puka Nacua leading the league, 58 receptions, 752 yards. Also is good enough for third. Tyreek Hill at 902. A.J. Brown is having a year. We'll talk about him in a second, 809. I didn't realize Tyreek Hill had 7 touchdowns already. He's been on fire. That guy is.
Before we go any deeper, I want to hear what your guys' overall opinion was on all the games in general. Because, in my opinion, out of every week, this was kind of a dud. I mean, if you're looking for good teams to play well, that did not happen this week.
No.
But outside of the Eagles and outside of the Chiefs, it was pretty much a dud from everyone.
Yeah. Buffalo,
Ravens,
Miami, San Francisco, awful. Lions. Bad. Just bad. And, Tampa claims that they're better than Atlanta, and they go out and throw a stinker out there. Indianapolis is another team that gets frisky, but Cleveland without the quarterback is able to beat them. It was a bad week. It really was. Seattle, 3 turnovers. They lose the turnover battle. They still win 20-10.
Just shows you how bad Cardinal or offense is.
Yeah, Chargers too. You expect Chargers to kind of play Kansas City tough, and they lay an egg as well. Travis Kelce, 179 receiving yards. He had a ridiculous game on Sunday. All right, so Jacksonville looking like they could be, a very good team coming up. They've have some good wins. New Orleans is a very good defense. They beat obviously the Bills. They've had a couple other pretty decent wins. Losing to KC doesn't look as bad, knowing that KC is just dominant. AJ, what was your favorite game from the slate from Sunday?
Looking at all these games, probably my favorite game, just because it was a close game, and probably that Monday night game. I thought Jordan Addison, the way he played was just disgusting. Having those, 100 plus yards, 2 TDs. San Francisco defense, great as always. Still very surprised about Purdy and how he's been playing. Looks like he's going to miss this coming week with concussion. I feel like that offense has been a little bit out of sync the past 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So, kind of see what happens with this upcoming week and who they play. It's also weird to me that, as a side note, that there's no teams on bye this week.
Yeah, after
bye weeks.
after last week having 6 off, like you couldn't stagger that a little bit,
Yeah.
or push it back so not everybody has a week 7 bye. Do it just starting in week 8. Like, why won't you have them all together? That's some schedule maker is just dumb.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I get that they don't want it towards the end of the season, just because that gives a team a clear advantage going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you got to buy in like week 15 or something like that. But I mean, we could do 4 teams a week starting in like week 4. That doesn't sound unrealistic.
I also think that
that's
always a little weird too, having it like super early in the season. Like, I feel like teams that have it week 4, week 5, even like week 6.
Well, yeah.
Like,
so this year
in the year to have it.
This year's bye weeks, you had week 5, you had 4 teams off. Then you had week 6, 2, week 7, 6, week 8, none, week 9, 4, week 10, 4, week 11, 4, week 13, 6. So you have another skip in between 11 and 12, and then 14 you have 2 teams off, Cardinals and Commanders. It made no logical sense. Why wouldn't you stick like week 14 to week 12, and then week 5 to week 8? So this way you start buys on week 6. So teams, it's so dumb. And 3 idiots talking on a podcast can decide that very a lot quicker than a bunch of highly paid morons in the NFL office. But anyways,
it's all AI generated now, Billy.
And they still get paid to do that. Brett, go ahead. What was obviously your favorite game? I'm sure was the game you watched, but pick another one.
Well, yeah, I mean, outside of that, I really enjoyed that Browns-Colts game. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous towards the end there. Some flags that should not have been flags. Obviously, controversy going on there, which we can dive into if you want. But, I mean, it's been the trend so far in the NFL this season. There's been, I hate to say it, a handful of games that have all been decided by late penalties. You don't love to see it. I mean, I don't enjoy watching the Browns win, but it was a good win, 39-38. I mean, it was an entertaining game, back and forth all the way down to the wire. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, you talk about penalties, and Philly was the better team, but they had a ridiculous amount of penalties for Miami versus, was there 0 called against the Eagles? Was that what I saw? I can't remember if that was what I saw, but anyways, just another utter disaster for the Dolphins. And I mean, I'm starting to think they're a little fraudulent. Yeah, they had 0 penalties. Philly had 0 penalties called, while Miami had 10 for 70, and there were a bunch of phantom ones. And listen, I don't think the refs have it in for Miami versus Philly. Just that is such an aberration, and there were some real bad calls that were A, missed, and B, called, like the face mask that wasn't called for Miami, and just little the roughing the passer on Wilkins that stayed a drive or Hurts one got a touchdown. I think I'll ask you guys this: the tush push. I like it, and I don't want them to get rid of it. What I want them to do, though, is allow the defense to push back. And that's the thing that they had where defense can't push a guy into another one. If you're allowing the offense to do that, I want to see the defense try to match the exact same way, because it's a clear disadvantage, and the offense is always going to win because they can push guys over the top while the defense can't. They can only jump over the top, and no one's going to fumble the ball that way. So let them go man on man and do the same thing.
I can see this potentially being a rule change come this offseason.
Yeah.
You just saw Brock Purdy just get a concussion from a QB
tush
sneak.
Push, yeah.
Well,
it wasn't tush push.
But they were pushing, right? I mean, it wasn't maybe the exact type, but Daniel Jones too, same thing. QB sneak, getting pushed a little bit, got injured.
Yeah, on that Giants tush push, when Jones got injured, they also lost 2 offensive linemen in the same thing because they didn't do it right. I guess their center and their right guard got hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about the injuries as much. I think the thing that concerns me is obviously, Billy, if you add that the defense can push, then we're almost in a rugby scrum, and there's almost no difference. You like the rugby scrum. I mean, that is fine. It does bring in an officiating nightmare. Is how do you call forward progress in a rugby scrum? It's just 10 dudes just slamming into each other. So I mean,
I
think it's
you've got to make it fair both ways, is what I'm saying. If you're going to allow them to push, then you have to give it back to the defense, or you just can't allow them to push the player. Because you can't tell me that Jalen Hurts can't get these yards on his own. He squats 600 pounds. Like, the guy clearly has enough strength where he could push into his own line.
At the same time, like, we're talking here that there needs to be a rule change, yet every other team that tries it can't do it.
Yeah.
I get that. Yes, it's giving the Eagles a so-called unfair advantage, but like, isn't having like a quarterback named Patrick Mahomes also an unfair advantage? Like, he's just better at quarterback than everyone else.
Also,
they're
having
just better at running a QB sneak than everyone else in the NFL.
Yeah, having the offensive line that is the Eagles, which are, if it's not the best in football, it's close. They are. I mean, from Kelsey, who is the best center in the NFL, to Lane Johnson, to Mailata, is it Mailata? Mailota, the other left tackle. He's extremely good too. But yeah, all right. So we'll quickly get into Week 8, and then we will bid adieu. I know AJ's going to get going in a little bit, and Brett's got to get going. So quick week, but good stuff for football. Thursday night game, Tampa at Buffalo. Can Tampa score to keep pace with a floundering Buffalo Bills, who are fraudulent too?
I was going to say, the way that they've played against the Giants, right? The 2 weeks ago, and then the way they played against the Patriots, I can see the Bucks staying with this team and potentially having an upset. And people are already kind of freaking out a little bit at the Bills, being 4-3. So I can see this being a little bit closer than the 8.5 line that I'm seeing Buffalo getting right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jordan Mailata.
Jordan Mailata. I want to see the Bucs make this a game. I'm very worried about the Bills. They've not looked good recently, or at least. No. I mean, we started the season. We thought there was like 3 or 4 teams or probably like 4 or 5 teams in the AFC that we thought were legit contenders. And each week that goes on, I feel like the list gets shorter and shorter. And in my mind, the Bills are on the verge of dropping off that list. Weird to say that there are lots of teams sitting at 4-2 with a better record or even 5-2 with a better record than the Bills. That I did not think they're going to be here. Did not think the Jags would be 5-2. Did not think the Steelers would be 4-2, both having better records than the Bills. But I mean, also, as good teams do, when you start getting the narrative that they're no longer the good team, that's when they show up and remind everyone of the team they are. So I am going to go the opposite route of AJ, though, and I see the Bills easily handling the 8-point spread in this one.
Ooh. All right.
Okay.
Jordan Mailata, 6'8", 365. That's a large human being. I think the guy from the Cleveland Browns, DeJuan Jones, is 6'9", 374. I mean, those are some large human beings. Anyways, going back to, they are. I mean, that it's so much, and these guys move so fast, which is even crazier. The mountain of men can move as quick as they can. All right, so Tampa, I think they catch up to them a little bit, but I think Buffalo is the one that's going to pull out, especially at Orchard Park on a Thursday. All right, favorite games of the week, and I'll go first this time. So I was looking. There's obviously, you could pick the easy ones, San Fran, Cincy, but with the quarterback out, I'm kind of steering away from that game a little bit because I think that maybe this is just an easy one for Cincy to kind of get the win on. My game is going to be LA Rams at Dallas. Dallas coming off of bye. Rams have an ugly loss, but I still think the Rams are a decent team, and I think this offense can play with the defense a little bit here. Their offensive line is okay. You have Sean McVay having his kid, so maybe a little baby bump in play calling. I'm taking the Rams. I think they get the win. I'm going to take the points, obviously. I'm not stupid, but I'm going to take the Rams at Dallas, and I'm going to go for a win there.
Brett? It's a tough slate coming up here. Let's see. If I had to pick... Honestly, this is not going to be the most exciting pick in the world, but I'm kind of interested in Saints Colts. They look both teams coming off.
That's my second one.
Some close loss last week. Both teams getting a little frustrated on offense, and I want to see what's going to happen with Gardner Minshew. He's looked pretty good, obviously coming off the best game of his career.
Yeah.
Don't know if he's going to be able to repeat that against the Saints defense, but as we were talking about earlier, I mean, how much longer does Derek Carr get before the Saints finally go, we need a little bit more explosive offense, and we got a guy who loves to chuck it downfield.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in that one. More interested in the outcome, to be honest, to see what players are going to be on the field for next week. But I'm very interested in that.
I was going to say, quickly before AJ goes, I'm not a big Jameis Winston fan. I would obviously take him on my team over what I have. But he is so much fun to watch because of what he does, which is he will stare right at a linebacker like he's not even there and throw right to him. And it is one of the better things you can watch as a football fan. Just watch this guy make horrendous picks. But then all of a sudden he throws a monster dime to a Chris Olave streaking downfield. And you're like, he can make that, but he can't miss. He misses the wide open linebacker. They're sitting there waiting for it. It's craziness. And even the LASIK didn't help him, which...
I just want to see another season of 30 for 30.
It's great. The 30 and 30 is one of the most electric seasons of all time.
It's fantastic.
And it was like 5,500 yards. He threw a ton of yards that season too. Just awesome. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, if he gets in this week, he only has to throw 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions every game for the rest of the season to hit that mark. That's doable.
That'd be good. I'm in. I'm in for that. AJ, your game of the week, and then we'll chat quickly. New York.
So that was actually going to be one of my games. One of the two that I have. Just because it is the Battle of New York or New Jersey for all those people that like to make that joke, but already having some little bit of bad blood right from the preseason game.
Oh yeah.
With the hit and the Cobb
Aaron
incident
Rodgers,
and all that stuff.
Yep.
So I think that's just going to be entertaining just there. You got the bragging rights for fans, right? For the next 4 years of, which team is better. And both teams are, I'm not going to say struggling, but both teams are, have records that they want to improve, right? Giants 2-5, Jets 3-3. It's going to be an interesting matchup. That defense, we'll see if for the Jets, if they, can continue their, I'm going to say historic season so far. They've played amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see if the Giants can, continue that step up that they've, been doing. If Tyrod's still going to be in there, I don't know if they've ever, they've said it yet. If James or they did, if Jones was going to be playing or not.
It's still under review. I don't know who's going to be there.
But I mean, I even so, I'd let Tyrod keep going. I feel like it's his job to lose. He's played, I think, a lot better than Daniel Jones. So, I think it's gonna be an interesting game. And one that's gonna be big around New Jersey, New York.
Yeah, quickly. Fans rating it up $192 just to get into the building. MetLife. By the way, you can go to see Baltimore at Arizona for only $15 if you really want to in Glendale. Listen, the Jets, quickly, this is must win. Absolutely must win. You cannot call yourself a contender, and I realize New York Giants defense has gotten better, and they played really well the last 2 weeks. But you cannot go into your home stadium, whatever, New York Giants, New York Jets, whatever. They're sharing a stadium. But you can't go into your stadium and lose to a team that's worse than they are. They're a worse football team. Mm-hmm. From coaching right now, Dable hasn't had a great season. Wink's starting to fire up a little bit, but that offensive coordinator is kind of to the offensive line, which Giants are second worst in the NFL behind only the Commanders, who are god awful. You have a better defense, better defensive line. You have better safeties, better corners if they're healthy. I'm hoping they are. Sounds like they're still in concussion protocol, but let's see if they get out. The quarterback's the only thing. And Wink Martindale's defense of blitzing the hell out of quarterbacks is going to be tough for an idiot, and that's what we have at quarterback. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to take the Jets, though. I'm going to take the running game, and I just hope the defense can score a couple points, and it's going to be a low-scoring game. That's just what it's going to be for the rest of the Jets season until they get that idiot out of the spot. But I got Jets, and it's a must-win.
I would agree.
This was hard to pick. I mean, you got to go Jets. I'm taking the defense. I just don't think doesn't matter what quarterback goes back there for the Giants. It's hard to see them being able to go against this Jets defense right now. So I'm also taking the Jets. But the question is, this game has the second lowest over-under on the week with only 36 implied points.
Yeah.
Over or under on this game?
Oh, under. Under. If they score 24 combined, I'm going to be shocked.
Okay.
I see this as like a 17-6 game.
Well, take into consideration the other lowest over-under on the week is the Falcons-Titans, which is at 35 points.
That's bad. Yeah, Falcons-Titans is real bad. Titans stink. Oof.
They're going to be starting Will Levis this week, which will be...
Yeah, well, did they say Will Levis? Because he said both were going to play. It's like, wait, just put one guy in.
Okay.
Like, clearly...
I hate it when coaches do that, especially because these two quarterbacks do totally opposite things on the field. One is a run-first quarterback. The other one is a pocket passer who does not run at all. Yep. And it's almost like, okay, so you're going to run two separate packages? Well, it's real easy. When Willis goes in the game, load the box. When Levis goes in the game, drop back. I don't know.
Listen, And Derrick Henry, I'm sure, is going to be looking for a trade. I know that's coming up next week as the trade deadline, but you clearly don't want Malik Willis to be your starting quarterback, or you would not have drafted Will Levis. So put in Will Levis because that's who you want in, and leave Malik as the backup, like you would normally do if it was Tannehill.
They wanted to, but Levis looked terrible in the preseason. He looked awful, which is why they kept Willis as the number 2.
He did have one game, right? I think he had one game where he played because he was hurt for 3 games. But yeah, he wasn't good, and this is opportunity to see what he can do. But you know who you want to start, so just start the player.
It's tough though, because you get in that whole conversation of the rookie, and hurting his confidence and all this, blah blah blah, and all that.
I mean, his confidence was shot when he drafted in the second round after he was looking to be drafted like 4. So,
fair.
I think, all right. So, just we'll obviously get into some other things. We have some fun things coming up. 32. We might do like 32 players off of each team that we're kind of surprised about. We'll do 1-on-1. We'll get a little bit more into the actual season as it goes. Passing leaders quickly: Tua, Cousins, Mahomes, all over 2,000 yards. They're having great seasons, all 3 of them. Who leads the league in touchdown passes thrown? You guys tell me?
I know it was Tua, but then he's fallen off the past couple weeks, so it's not Tua.
Yep.
Cousins?
He's second, tied for second. It is Kirk Cousins. 16 touchdowns. Mahomes, Allen, and Tua all have 15. Russ at number 5 is 13. It's crazy that Russ is up that high. He only has 4 interceptions. He's played somewhat decent. Rushing leaders, obviously McCaffrey sitting at almost 600 yards. And his attempts, 125. He was on pace for like a 300 attempt season, which is crazy for a guy that, has issues staying healthy. But he does not lead the league in touchdowns, AJ. Do you know who leads the league in touchdowns?
Well, I'm starting to look at stats right now. So, Brett, you want to go?
Mostert.
Is it Mostert?
It is Mostert, yeah.
Yeah.
I did not cheating over here. Stats. Yeah. And then obviously we said Tyreek and AJ Brown leading it at 1 and 2 for receiving. AJ, get some trivia in here and we will head out.
Well, Brett, I wanted to be nice to you since you went to go see the Steelers play the Rams.
Nice to him.
Got a Steelers type question for you. So,
gonna be nice, or I'm gonna look dumb and get it wrong. So.
Oh, I hope you get it wrong.
So obviously the Steelers picked up their 4th win of the season, and Watt made his impact, felt again. Watt had an interception, which is the 7th career interception that he's had, which is pretty rare company for the NFL. Him and what other player are the only players with at least 7 interceptions and at least 70 sacks in their first 7 seasons?
It's got to be his brother.
Billy?
I don't think his brother got that many interceptions. I know he batted on the ball a lot.
I'm not saying he got a lot, but 7 interceptions.
First
I
7
feel like
seasons, too.
1 a season?
No, first 7 seasons.
Yeah, I know. That's
The
what I'm saying. So he
career-
needs 7 interceptions
Yeah.
in 7 seasons. So that's 1 a season. And I feel like JJ was a beast his first 7 seasons before he started tearing every muscle in his body and could only stay on the field for like half a year. I'm going to stick with JJ.
But as a
See, there's not many
DN,
people
do you
with-
really get that many interceptions?
Yeah,
No.
there's not that many people with 70 sacks.
Don't overthink this.
If that is a question to say that this, no, I thought you were going to steer me back into a Steeler for this one, but I'm trying to think of names off the list.
I'm going to go another family member. So obviously the Watts. I'm going to go with the Longs. Give me Howie Long.
You are both incorrect. Would you like
All
the
right.
right answer? Or would you like to take a quick second guess?
I mean, I'm sure is it like Lawrence
Can we get
Taylor?
one more hint?
Or
William Lawrence Taylor.
it's Lawrence Taylor? All right.
Lawrence
One
Taylor.
of the best defensive player of all time. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
It would make sense that he's
Don't
the
overthink
only other person. Yeah. That guy is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Crazy. All right. We will be back next week. The music, for some reason, music just doesn't want to play until I get to 50%. It's even then it's not playing. But anyways, this is football prime time. We'll see you next week. AJ, have fun on your trip. Brett, we'll see you. Go Steelers. Go Jets. Take New York by storm.